Hi, my name is Willow Huffman, and today I'm going to be presenting my prompt 3 for the seminar portfolio. The challenge I chose for this is cultural diversity. So, the concept of cultural diversity is the presence of people with different beliefs, traditions, languages, cultures, and experiences. I'm so sorry. It recognizes that every person is unique and the differences should be valued and respected. So, what is our challenge? Cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is an essential part of today's classroom and it contributes to creating a positive and inclusive learning environment for all students. Each student who enters the classroom with unique experiences, traditions, languages, and perspectives shape who they are. When we as educators recognize these and value these differences, students are more likely to feel respected, supported, and connected to their learning environment. Exposure to diverse cultures also helps students develop empathy and broaden their perspectives and gain a deeper understanding and appreciation for people's backgrounds who are different from their own. A quote from International University. Teachers play an important role in creating a culturally responsive classrooms where all students feel valued. This includes incorporating diverse perspectives into lessons, encouraging students to share their own experiences, and fostering an environment built on respect and understanding. According to the community toolbox, cultural competence involves understanding and effectively interacting with individuals from different cultural backgrounds. By embracing cultural diversity and promoting inclusion, educators can help develop meaningful relationships and strengthen their social awareness and prepare students for success in an increasingly diverse world. Here's a little bit of the background. So, cultural diversity has become increasingly important in schools and classrooms. Continue to include students from different backgrounds, language, beliefs, and traditions. Because students bring unique experiences with them to school, it is important for teachers to create learning environments where everyone feels respected and valued. When students are exposed to different cultures, they gain a better understanding of perspectives that may be different from their own. One of the main reasons I wanted to go over this is that the school that I am working at currently has a huge diverse culture, and I wanted to focus more on this and learn more about it and understand what I can do better as a teacher to make sure that I am including all students diversities in the classroom. The American Psychological Association explains that diversity can improve critical thinking and help students develop a greater appreciation for others. As teachers, it is important that we go beyond simply recognizing diversity and actively include different cultures and experiences in our classrooms. In doing this, it helps students feel respected while also teaching respect and understanding those around them. One of the main reasons I also did this too is during my student teaching, my mentor was doing a lesson over the Lunar New Year. We have a huge Asian population at in our classroom, Korean population, and I mean at our school. And she made sure to focus on the Lunar New Year because at schools we focus on a lot of holidays, but we don't really include those of different cultures. So in doing this, I saw how happy those students were to see that their culture and their holiday was included, but they also got the chance to explain it to their classmates, and seeing those other classmates have the option to the ability to learn more about a different holiday and get the opportunity to ask questions to those students was it was a very cool thing to see. So cultural diversity for students and teachers. Students are often the ones who benefit from the most culturally responsive classrooms. When students see their cultures, traditions, and experiences reflected in what they are learning, they feel like they belong. No student should feel like they have to change who they are or hide parts of their identity when they come to school. Including different cultures in lessons also helps students learn from one another. They begin to understand that not everyone has the same experience, and that's okay. Instead of seeing differences as something negative, they learn to appreciate them. So, a quote from Drexel University explains that the cultural diversity helps students build respect for others while also developing confidence in themselves. Something as simple as choosing a book that features a different culture, language, or family background can make a difference. And when students can connect to what they're reading, they become more engaged and excited to learn. More importantly, they see that their stories matter too. Like I said, when that teacher incorporated the Lunar New Year, it helped those students feel more confident in sharing their background, their traditions, what they do for that. But it also gave the other students the ability to learn more about something and about their culture. So today's classrooms are more diverse than ever before, which means that teachers have a responsibility to make sure that every student feels welcomed and valued. Simply having Simply having students from different backgrounds in the classroom is just not enough. Students need to see their cultures, experiences, and perspectives represented in what they learn in class each day. So, one way we teachers can support cultural diversity is by using books, activities, and examples that reflect a variety of cultures and backgrounds. According to the Drexel University, culturally diverse classrooms help students develop respect for others, improve communication skills, and prepare them to work with people from different backgrounds in the future. This benefits beyond academics and it helps students become more understanding and accepting individuals. As teachers, we should also take the time to learn our students and build meaningful relationships with them and their families. When students feel seen and understood, they are more likely to participate and take risks and succeed in the classroom. Creating a culturally responsive classroom is not about changing who students are, it's about creating an environment where everyone feels like they belong and their experience matters. So, focusing back on the communication with families. So, when we have those celebrations for Christmas and for Valentine's Day and for Halloween, families are welcome to come and join in most schools. And we all focus on that holiday. Giving the families the opportunity that celebrate different holidays to talk about it, come in the classroom and just explain it. We don't have to necessarily have a huge celebration, but giving the children and those families the opportunity to come in and present something that they use for that holiday, what they do, what's a tradition for them. It helps teach other students in the classroom respect for other cultures, but also teaches them something new that they can learn about and know for the future. Within the classroom, so learning about cultural diversity in the classroom has made me reflect on how important it is to truly know my students and make sure that they feel seen and valued. As a teacher, it is easy to focus on academics and forget about that every student comes in the classroom with a different experience, tradition, and language and backgrounds that shape who they are. This reflection made me think about whether I'm creating enough opportunities for my students to share who they are and whether my classroom communicates every student belongs. One way I try to create a culturally responsive classroom is by building strong relationships with students and creating a classroom community where everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas. In my second grade classroom, I want students to know that their voices matter. I can do this by allowing students to share their personal connections during discussions, including books and activities that represent different cultures, and encouraging students to learn from each other's experiences. When students see parts of their lives represented in the classroom, they are more likely to feel connected and engaged in learning. Moving forward, I would like to become more intentional about incorporating diverse perspectives in my instruction instead of only celebrating differences during specific events or holidays. Culturally responsive teaching is about making students' cultures part of everyday learning. Landon's Billing explains that culturally relevant teaching supports students by connecting learning to their cultural backgrounds while also promoting academic success. This reminds me that creating an inclusive classroom is not just about recognizing differences, but making sure students feel respected, included, and valued every day. As I mentioned in there, I want to make sure that I include it every day, not make it feel like we're only just valuing certain days, holidays, and traditions. We want to learn about it. We want to include it in everyday activity. One of the things that I included in my classroom that I thought was a great thing was like a show and tell, and students have the option to bring in something that represents them, that represents their family, that who they are. And one of my students who is very quiet and kept to themselves had the option to bring in something and they did and they felt really great explaining. I could just tell by the way that they were explaining what they brought into the classroom, and seeing other students ask questions and wanting to learn more about was it was a it really helped boost that student's confidence and then also teach other students something different. Another thing we also do in our grade level is we make sure we focus on every holiday that we can in the classroom. I remember we did this whole thing for Cinco de Mayo and the students loved it. We made sure to include activities and readings and focus on what the holiday is, what that day is, what is celebrated for that day. So we as a school make sure we do incorporate a lot into our community to make sure that students feel respected and valued. So, this is the impact on students and the community. Creating a culturally responsive classroom can have a positive impact on students because it helps them feel like their identities and experience and backgrounds are valued. When students are comfortable being themselves, they are more likely to participate, share their ideas, and take risks in their learning. In my classroom, I want students to understand that their differences are not something that separates them from others, but something that makes our classroom stronger. This includes valuing different languages, traditions, experiences, and ways of thinking. Ladson Billing says that culturally relevant teaching helps students connect their own experience to learning while also supporting their success in school. Building these relationships also impacts the classroom community because students learn to respect and appreciate the perspectives of others. I want my classroom to be a place where students learn from each other and understand that everyone has something important to contribute. I can support this by including diverse books, encouraging students to share their experiences, and creating opportunities for families to be involved in the classroom. Partnering with families and learning about their cultures helps create a stronger connection between schools and home, allowing students to feel supported both inside and outside of school. As I said before, making sure that they get the opportunity to share their own voice or share something that they have from home. That was kind of my show and tell thing, letting them bring in something that represents them, letting them bring in something that represents their family. And it was a great idea to have in the classroom. It's something that I'll take with me throughout my years of teaching. So here I have some artifacts, questions and stories that use culturally diverse names within them. So this is a big website that we use in our county, in our school. This is where we do a lot of our state testing, a lot of our practice. And there was so many things that were included, but I only clipped 3, but we have multiple stories. We have questions. We have answers that they focus on. Here we have lots of books and mindsets and read alouds and lessons that we focus on in the classroom. So these are books that we assign and read alouds that are culturally inclusive. So right here I have the 7 mindsets, and that goes for right here too. And I think that was the only 2 that I included. But there are multiple mindsets. This is something that we do every morning, and it gives students, we focus on building their confidence. Understanding emotions, understanding who we are. So this is just a mindset that we focus on in the classroom to help build students' confidence, help relax our brains, help understand what we're feeling. But we also include a lot of culturally diverse books that in all of these read alouds. And most of these mindsets, every week we are reading a culturally diverse book to make sure that those are included in each mindset. So we have the empty pot, which is one that they really liked, and they also really enjoyed reading Stone Soup. That was a really good book. We read that a couple times. Here, this is a website that we use in the classroom where we can assign books to students to read. So these are some of the books that we assign, and students read it. They can also take a quiz on it at the end. But after they finish these books, they have the option, it pops up a book similar to it. So they can keep reading, and a lot of students do. They keep reading and reading and reading, learning more about diversity and respecting for others and understanding each student's culture. Right here, I have 2 lessons that we did over these books. So the To Be a Drum and Drum Dream Girl. This was a lesson that we did. And we also have this one right here, Trombone Shorty. The students loved learning about Trombone Shorty, and learning all of the things that came with this book. This was actually a really popular book, and most of the time when students get the ability to look up a book and read, I would catch them reading about Trombone Shorty. And they always, whenever we got the chance to read another book, I'd be like, oh, let's play a book in the classroom. They want to listen to Trombone Shorty again. That was one of their favorite books. And then right here, I have this book. I know this is a picture, but this is something I have in my library. This is called The New Kid, and it's an amazing book. I got it through my bachelor's degree, through my bachelor's courses, and it was one of the best books that I could have purchased. And my kids love this book. It's kind of a comic book, so I highly recommend having it. And it's one of the books that I have to keep set aside and keep a list of who gets to read it next because they enjoy reading this book. Finally, I have my works cited on all of these sources that I use to help learning about cultural diversity. Thank you for listening.